All right. Hi, Aries. Happy Halloween. Welcome to your reading. We have some cards popping out already. So I actually have some exciting news. I started a Fiverr account, so if you're interested in getting a personal reading, the links will be in the description. I'm going to go ahead and put these back. But the deck that I'm using this week is called the Deviant Moon Tarot by Patrick Valencia. Valenza. And I figured it'd be a good deck to use in honor of the spooky week. Okay, so your overall energy this week is the Wheel of Fortune. I feel that whatever it is that you're thinking about right now is in an upswing right now. So perhaps in like the prior weeks or the past couple months, you've sort of felt like there's been a lot of sort of bad luck or misfortune happening to you, but I feel like now you're in a position where everything's going right. It's interesting to me that, like, looking at this Wheel of Fortune in particular, you can see that there's the woman spinning the wheel, the person there that's having the wheel spun for them, and then sort of the devil up there. And it almost feels like people are like, wow, you've made a deal with the devil or something, and they're like, wow, how could everything be going so well for you all at once? But I really do get a positive energy, which is interesting because I see the Eight of Swords and the Five of Wands, which usually talk about conflict and strife. I think that you guys are probably coming out of it, is what it is. This Five of Wands energy, it was definitely like a past thing. I'm getting there was some kind of conflict and you won, because right next to the Five of Swords is also the Five of Wands is next to the Five of Swords, right? And in this particular Five of Swords, a lot of the times Five of Swords cards in general will talk about energy of like I win, you lose, but this one in particular, like I feel like that's you. Like you're walking away, you're sticking your tongue out, and you're sort of like I win. And with that Six of Swords right next to it, like there's that obvious ascension, right? So there's from the 5 to the 6. So I'm getting the impression that a lot of you guys were at a point where, you know, and even with this two of Wands right next to it, like you were deciding what you should do, and you decided that the correct path was to just go the route of conflict, and it works out for you. And now that you've sort of resolved that situation, you're moving on. And with this Page of Swords, you're sort of scouting out a new situation. For those of you guys, I feel like you may have broken up with someone. I feel like you were in a relationship and now you broke up with them, and that's what all this conflict is about. And that's what this planning period is. It's sort of like, should I stay? Should I go? But after you decided to go, at least for some of you, you've been through all the conflict. You're moving from the conflict into this energy of the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords, especially in this deck, is about scouting. So the Page of Swords has I don't know what, I can't remember what they're called, but it's the sort of magnifying glasses that the jewelers will use for an eye. So I'm getting the impression that you've got your eye on someone. And I see a lot of good stuff, especially with this Wheel of Fortune. Like, you might reach out to them and then they're like, oh, I was waiting for you. Or like, oh, wow, I'm so surprised. Or, but not in a bad way, but like in a good way. Especially with this Knight of Wands, I feel like there's definitely an amount of passion here. With the Page of Swords, like, I see the message coming in. And with the Knight of Wands, I see it coming in passionately. Like, maybe if there was just one or the other, it would be a little less likely or maybe not as strong. But to see both of them together really tells me that the message is going to come in and there's going to be a lot of movement, because I see a lot of movement. The Pages and the Knights are always about movement. And then you have the Chariot and the Six of Swords. So for a lot of you, it might be that you're moving physically, right? So you're like I'm getting some of you are taking a road trip. So it could be if you're taking a road trip, you might just like happen to stumble upon the love of your life or something. But I definitely feel that there's something that you don't exactly know. With the Moon card, there's definitely something that someone hasn't been telling you. But I don't think it's a bad thing. It could be a good thing, like I was saying earlier. Maybe you like go talk to someone and then it turns out that they actually wanted to hear from you but just never said anything. Or like, let's say you're going on a road trip and you're expecting to like pay for all the gas, and then you go into the road trip and then all of a sudden your friend's like, hey, I can pay for half or whatever. I feel like it's something where it's a pleasant surprise that's in store for you. It's really interesting because with this Eight of Swords here, she's being controlled by the moon, right? So the moon is sending her off into the swords while she's asleep. So what it could be is that you could be, like, definitely pay attention to your dreams, because I feel like you're going to get the messages here. I feel like your dreams could be telling you, like, what to do, what not to do, like, how to end situations positively, how to end them, like what won't work and what will end up in, like, disaster, but not necessarily disaster. I feel like I don't feel that kind of catastrophic, dramatic change here, especially with this, like, Nine of Cups. I get whatever you want, you're gonna have. You just gotta follow your intuition a little bit, I feel, definitely. But I see wish fulfillment with that uptake that is the Wheel of Fortune. Definitely, like, just bask in the positive energy. Especially, like, if you have something good or lucky that happens to you this week, definitely sort of take a second to really appreciate the moment, because I feel like that'll help bring in more luck and more happiness to you. Like, let's say you find a quarter on the ground. It's 25 cents more than you had. But let's say in a normal scenario, you maybe wouldn't have, like, given it a second thought, just, like, left it there or whatever. But, like they say, lucky penny, right? And now that I said, like, lucky penny, I'm getting the expressions like, put in my 2 cents, or penny for your thoughts. So you might really, I feel like there's a lot of talking, which would make sense, because the Five of Swords is very much about communication, conflict. And not just the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords, Six of Swords, Page of Swords, Eight of Swords, like, all these swords cards talk about communication. So I'm not surprised that, you know, you're going to be in a mode where you're, like, asking people for their opinions or inputting your own. But whatever it is, I see lots of communication and I see lots of wish fulfillment. So that was your reading for this week, Aries. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like or a comment. It really helps out the channel, and I'd love to know if it resonated. If you'd like to stick around, please subscribe and tune in next Monday, because that's when I upload my next week's readings. And I hope to see you guys there.